This has got to be one of the most adorable keyboards we've built yet, the Chillkey Paw 65. Despite how nice this board looks, this still technically fits into our continued look at affordable platforms, since this absolutely stacked barebones only runs 89 bucks. A huge shout out and thank you to mechanicalkeyboards.com for sending over the Chillkey Paw 65 for us to take a look at today, as well as Drop for sending over DSA Astrala keys, which we used to build today's keyboard. No money changed hands between myself and any of these vendors, and all opinions remain my own. No one has been privy to any of this content prior to it going live. Make sure to check out the links in the video's description for everything seen in today's content if you're interested in picking some of it up for yourself, as well as links to all of the chapters for the video so you can get right to the stuff that matters to you, and links to our socials, Twitch, and the Discord server. Design language on Paw 65 can be summed up in one word: soft. From the surface texture and pastel finish of the all-aluminum case to the very rounded corners and the adorable, if not currently ubiquitous, paw weight design in the bottom and its silicone toe beans, and even the screwless assembly, this board calls for a very specific aesthetic that you will either love or hate. Personally, I love it. To keep the look clean while still offering wireless connectivity, mode switching is done under the spacebar and the wireless receiver sticks up opposite that. Be careful with this should you fully disassemble the plate and PCB assembly. Don't let its generally soft look fool you though. This is a beefy boy, weighing in at right around 1.7 kilograms on our scale when fully built, or close to 4 pounds in freedom units. The most interesting included extra is the cat ears. Those big, glorious, extremely bright RGB cat ears. They really went full send with the cat theme including these, but if you find this to be a bit much, then good news. The board ships as standard with a simple light diffuser at the rear of the board if you prefer something a bit less visually and physically intrusive. That said, if you do want the ears, installation is pretty simple. Just remove the two fasteners from the sides of the diffuser and replace the diffuser with the cat ears. Just be careful since the aluminum surround is surprisingly delicate. I should also mention, if you don't feel like building this up from a bare bones, they do offer another version of this that's pre-built for a $30 premium, which does include keycaps and Durox switches. The Paw 65 is absolutely capable of being built straight out of the box. It comes pre-assembled with plate foam, PE foam, and two case foams, one that's close to the back of the PCB, and one that sits in the weight region in the bottom of the case. It's also got some really nice plate mount stabilizers, also pre-lubed. For the majority of buyers, the stock tune is probably fine, but my left shift had to be retuned manually due to an abundance of lube that migrated to the bottom of the stems, creating a tacky sound at bottom out. Thankfully, since these are plate mount, it was nothing to just pull the stab, clean off the PE foam, and retune. The switch plate is FR4. Sadly, there aren't any other options at this time, but this is a great one since it's sort of an all-around performer in terms of acoustics and bounce potential. The sockets are 5-pin, south-facing, and feature per-key RGB with KL hot swap sockets. Sadly, we're layout locked with this one, though they do grant you step caps lock compatibility, which is the morally correct choice here. We also don't get QMK or VIA compatibility, which is something of a shame, and we'll touch on some of the quirks associated with the software in a bit. There aren't many boards I feel confident in recommending building as they ship, but we decided to do just that when we built this live on Twitch with KTT Vanilla Ice Cream Linears and DSA Astrala keys with the non-standard Icon Mods kit. The end result: this has got to be one of my favorite boards we've built on the channel in recent history, not just in terms of acoustics and feel, but aesthetics as well. Shockingly, even with the full complement of foams, the board does have a general softness to its bottom out, though nothing obvious that would dissuade the use of something like tactiles. This is in part due to the softness of the gasket socks used, as well as the general softness of the otherwise really thick foam. Now let's see what's going on inside for those of you who may want to mess around with the foams a bit. Disassembly is actually pretty straightforward. Be sure to pull the switches from around the fasteners on the top of the board, then use the included Allen key to remove those fasteners. You'll also want to make sure to use the small included Allen key to remove the rotary knob. From here, remove the pink top case and carefully lift out the PCB and plate assembly, as there are 4 friggin' JST connectors running to this board. One from the PCB to the AIO3 daughter board, one from the LED PCB at the back of the board to the PCB, and one from each of the 2,250 mAh batteries that power wireless connectivity via Bluetooth or 2.4 GHz with the included branded dongle. To then separate the plate from the PCB, there's only 4 standoff fasteners to remove, which are sadly Phillips head. Despite the mixed fastener types used, I would actually rate this overall as being an easy board to disassemble and reassemble. Newcomers should feel confident in approaching this, so long as you don't toss things around like a monkey throwing its shit. So, getting into the software actually leads us into story time. Originally, when I built this board on stream, that was the first time I realized this board wasn't QMK or VIA compatible. It wasn't really affecting anything for the purposes of the stream, but when I went to go find the software, not only was there no mention of it in the box for this keyboard, but there also wasn't a link for it on the mechanicalkeyboards.com website. They should be updating that once they roll out the new version of their website soon, TM. But for that matter, I actually couldn't even find the ChillKey website, which for those of you who are having similar problems, I have linked down in the video's description. It was as if Google just refused to acknowledge it existed. Massive shout out and thank you to Ariella Studies on Twitch for sending over the link for the ChillKey website. I would only discover later that while Google doesn't show any meaningful search results for ChillKey, Bing does. Thankfully, Canon Keys had a link to the software as well in the interim, so I grabbed it from there and started to mess with it. I quickly discovered that while the software is reasonably responsive, it reveals things about this board I wasn't aware of before. First of all, this board is apparently called the Wang 65 in other regions, or at least the PCB is, according to the software. Secondly, we can see in the animation from the board that there's apparently also a version of this in other markets that has a badge option instead of the rotary knob. Additionally, during the teardown, we discovered additional threaded openings that don't get used for anything. This alludes to there being an internal weight option out there somewhere that didn't make it to Western markets. Anyway, back to the software. While it mostly works well, I did discover that if you try to remap anything on the surface layer of the keyboard, you will automatically brick volume control functionality for your rotary knob, and the only thing that'll actually work is the depression of the knob itself. The thing is too, there's nothing in the software that indicates this happening, neither is there an option present for you to reverse this in the software. Even reverting things back to standard using the software doesn't seem to actually correct the issue. I was forced to do a manual reset on the keyboard itself to return volume knob functionality. It's sort of a shame, since this also disallows the use of more unique layout options out there like Dvorak or Colmac, so all 3 of the people out there using those will unfortunately be a bit let down here. That said, this issue doesn't seem to persist with the 2 function layers that you can program, so you do still have the ability to set up the function layer the way you would want to, but as of this version of the software I messed around with, you are locked to the stock top layer. Despite the foibles and quirkiness of the software, this board is not only adorable, but extremely well built and performant for its price. Like in the custom PC space, it's refreshing to see vendors taking more interesting design steps with their products to give them a healthy dose of intentional and unique style, in this case with the versatility to omit it if you don't care for it. If there's anything that holds this board back from being a stronger recommendation, it's maybe a lack of plate material choices and layout options, but what they do give you should work for the vast majority of users. It ships ready to build or as a pre-built, and it's relatively easy to disassemble for custom tuning the foam or adding in those wonderful cat ears. Visually, there may be other boards that evoke a similar aesthetic, but none of them do it in quite the same way the ChillKey POS 65 does, and certainly not at this quality standard or this price point. It's cute, it's capable, and it's attainable. This one goes on the short list of boards to consider if you're looking for something kitty-focused for your collection, or just a gift for a cat lover in your life. Once again, a huge shout out and thank you to mechanicalkeyboards.com and Drop for sending everything over for today's content. Remember to toss us a like on the way out and get subscribed if you haven't done so already. Check out the links to everything seen in today's video as well for our socials, Twitch, and the Discord server, and check out this other keyboard content if you're looking for something budget-friendly. Thanks for watching, take care of yourselves and one another, and we'll see you all next time.